Adobe Lightroom CC has had a major overhaul for its 2018 edition. But just how does it differ from the versions of Lightroom that came before it? Well, I'm going to give you a brief overview on the new software. So forget about Lightroom 6. From now on, all you have are two choices, Lightroom CC and Lightroom Classic. Both are subscription only, but Lightroom CC is a cloud-based editing software that is seemingly designed to marry the bridge between computer, phone and tablet by simplifying all the editing tools, not least by removing a bunch of them. So Lightroom Classic is a nod back to our standalone Lightroom 6, as it has slightly more editing capabilities than Lightroom CC, with the inclusion of the curves panel and more complex colour controls. And it's similar to the old style layout as well. It's not easy to share images to multiple devices through this version, but it's a good workhorse for the photographer that needs to plough through the work quickly and efficiently. We're going to focus on Lightroom CC here, with its radically different redesign, but any editing you do in CC can also be applied to Classic. But whether you're upgrading from a previous version of Lightroom or using the program for the first time, you may want to check the minimum specification requirements, because older, less powerful computers may struggle to keep up. We'll delve deeper into the Lightroom CC interface overcoming issues, but to get started, we'll take a look at the major changes to the traditional Lightroom platform. So this is Lightroom CC 2018, and the first thing you'll probably want to do is import your photos. I already have some photos here, but if you go to the left side, we have the new My Photos panel. The keyboard shortcut for that is P. So we find albums and folders here, and a good way to explain this is albums contain photos and folders contain albums. We have some photos from the Lake District here. So we've made a Lake District folder and placed two albums inside. We can do that by going to this plus, going create folder and writing Lake District example, hit create, and that gives us a folder there on the left hand side. So within this we can make albums and we can call this test. And that's going to create it inside the folder Lake District example. And there we have an album. If I click on that, it says add photos. Just click add photos and you can choose whatever photos you like. I don't actually have any here because they're already imported, but that is how you import them. This makes it easy to find specific photos quickly, and you can create subfolders within folders for even more categorization. For example, I have my pets here, and we have within trips, we have the Lake District and Scotland, and we have some other albums as well, so you can put folders within folders. So if I highlight the Lake District album there again, I go to the right hand side, we can go to the Edit panel. That's a keyboard shortcut of E. You can see I've already made a few adjustments to this image, but essentially this provides us with 6 sub-panels. The first one being light, where you can control exposure, contrast, highlights, shadows, whites and blacks. And if you hover over them, you'll see a little animation which shows you exactly what they do. So for those of us that aren't used to using all of the options here, it's a handy little animation. So it'll show the positive and then it'll also show the negative. So it's adding and subtracting. So moving down to color, we have white balance as normal, and we can control the temperature of the white balance ourselves, and it will just flick to custom, so we can make it slightly warmer or slightly cooler, and we can add a tint of a bit magenta or a bit green. And we also have our vibrance and saturation here, which we'll cover in later issues, but essentially for the most part, you probably want to concentrate on vibrance because there's no color clipping. And then beneath that we have effects, which also has clarity here, dehaze, which is a great tool. If you've upgraded from quite an old version of Lightroom, this will be new to you, but for those of us that have been on Lightroom CC for a while, this is carried forward. And we have vignetting here as well. Under detail, there's the standard sharpening, noise reduction, color noise reduction and grain. Under optics we can remove chromatic aberration and we can enable lens corrections. And within this, we can also click a little arrow and we can choose the lens, the make, and the profile that we want to adjust that in case it doesn't pick up quite the right metadata on the file. And we can adjust the distortion correction and lens vignetting as well. I'm just going to undo that. And so the last panel in the edit panel is the geometry. So we can use automatic, we can use level, vertical and full. And this just allows us to change the geometry of the image. Okay, so let's say that you've gone through those panels and you've made some adjustments and you're happy with that and you want to apply that to a few images because, well, that's what Lightroom's for, right? It's batch processing images. Well, it's not quite as easy as the old version of Lightroom or Lightroom Classic, because we have to click on the ellipses on the right-hand side, these three dots here, and you'll see options to copy edit settings. Now that is also done with Command and C or Control and C on a PC. So we're going to click that, we'll select another picture, go back to ellipses and click paste edit settings, and that's Command and V or Control and V on a PC, and that will paste the same settings onto the next image. I've yet to find a way to do it faster than that. It's a bit long-winded and it's not very helpful, and at the moment we have to make sure that each image is selected in order to apply the settings. So as of yet, there isn't on this version of Lightroom, at time of recording, a way to do that quicker than this. So that's a bit of a drag, but we do have a new version of exporting images, and that's at the top right hand corner here, the share button. So we have two options here at the moment. We have save to, which we can click on, and that will save this to our local disks. We have two options. We can save as a JPEG, or we can save as the original file format plus the settings we've applied. We can then choose where we're going to save that by clicking on this bit here. It defaults to the Lightroom CC saved photos folder. And we have three options to adjust the size: small, full size and custom. And under custom we can decide the long side of the photo, so that would be this side down here, and we can decide the maximum pixel range for that. So fairly limiting at the moment, but I can definitely see how this will transfer across mobile devices and make it a little bit easier to share with social media. Speaking of, we have Facebook here. Currently only Facebook and no Twitter, no Instagram, or any other social media platforms, just Facebook for the moment. But this is an early version of Lightroom, so that may change after the time of recording. You have to go to Facebook and log in from there in order to give Lightroom permission to post to your Facebook. But once you've done that, it's a simple click. So Lightroom CC has typical searching options, allowing you to pick from star ratings, flags, cameras used and GPS locations of the images if they're tagged. And you can also search for the traditional keywords assigned to photos through the metadata. But what's truly unique about Lightroom CC is Adobe Sensei. So Adobe Sensei uses artificial intelligence to guess what's in your photos and will recall photos based on your keyword searches in the search box at the top center of the screen. Although it's not perfect, it does a pretty decent job. So without having tagged any of these images, I'm just going to type the word tree in, and we can see that there is a tree in this image. So one would hope if I type tree, hit return. There we go. Here's a shot with some trees in. Here's a shot with some trees in. Here's another. And here's another. And look, the other shot with the tree in. Brilliant. So I've not actually tagged any of those photos. It has just gone through, scanned the images, and using artificial intelligence, it's decided, okay, these images have trees in, which is absolutely fantastic. Obviously, this will get more and more sophisticated as time goes on. This is a very early version, but this is a very handy way of searching indeed. So there we go, that's Adobe Lightroom CC 2018. It's quite a lot different from the old versions of Lightroom, but hopefully for the better. It's be interesting to see how this improves as we go forward. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.